Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brittany Mason from BPS.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking time out this afternoon to come out to our presentation. As Jackie stated, my name is Brittany Mason. I'm an attorney with the City of Chicago Department of Procurement Services. And today's presentation is on workforce development initiatives and programs that are currently in place at the city and with our partnership. The City of Chicago, we have taken numerous initiatives to try to increase the number of skilled residents to work on growing industries in our contracts. We've also been focusing on disadvantaged populations and youth so that they can have access to employment in the City of Chicago, and we try to make that a high priority. This workshop will cover our Chicago Residency Ordinance, our local hiring requirements, as well as bid incentives related to workforce development. Additionally, we will have information about the programs that the Department of Family and Support Services has in Chicago, Cook Workforce Partnership. That information will be made available to us. Our first requirement is actually an ordinance requirement. It is not an incentive. And this ordinance requirement applies to construction contracts that are valued over $100,000 or more. And what that ordinance seeks to do is to utilize at least 50% of all the labor hours are by Chicago residents, and at least 7.5% of all labor hours would be by Project Area residents. These percentages are not intended to limit or defer fuller utilization of eligible residents, but they're just minimum requirements per the ordinance. You have to make a good faith effort as a contractor to utilize all qualified eligible residents in unskilled and skilled labor positions on this contract. One thing that's important to know is that the work hours performed by the project area residents can be counted as work hours performed by city residents for purposes of calculating the minimum work hour percentages. In order to comply with this ordinance, we do require contractors to submit residency records, also certified payrolls, in order to determine compliance. If you fail to meet these requirements without making a good faith effort, there are liquidated damages associated with that. Those liquidated damages are in the amount of 1/20th of 1% or 0.05% of the approved contract value surrendered by the contractor to the city for each percentage of a shortfall that you have. The damages can also be adjusted upward if we don't feel like they're sufficient to meet the needs. However, they will not be lowered. Our first incentive would be the city-based business incentive. This is an incentive for local businesses that employ city residents, especially those from socioeconomically disadvantaged areas of the city. This applies to city-funded contracts, all city-funded contracts valued at $100,000 or more. There's a 4% incentive, there's a 6% incentive, and there's an 8% incentive. And this is up since June 2018 because it was originally a 2%, a 4%, and a 6% incentive. In order to meet these requirements, the 4% incentive, you have to be a city-based business. That means you have to conduct your day-to-day business operations at a facility that is located within the city, which is the place of employment for the majority of your full-time regular employees. That's non-labor hour employees. In order to meet the 6% incentive, you have to meet the requirements for the 4%, and then the majority of your full-time employees have to be city residents. To take it up to the 8%, you have to basically meet the 4 and 6%, and then the majority of your city resident employees have to reside in a socioeconomically disadvantaged area of the city. And the socio-economically disadvantaged area of the city is an area within the city that meets the requirements for designation as socio-economically disadvantaged. And this is determined by the Commissioner of Planning and Development, and that's pursuant to an ordinance that provides that commissioner with that authority under 292-390. If at the time of closeout in the contract, you fail to remain eligible for this incentive, you will be fined in an amount equal to 3 times the amount of the bid incentive that was allocated to the contractor, unless the contractor can demonstrate that due to circumstances beyond their control, for good cause, they were not able to remain eligible. Our next incentive is the diverse workforce and management incentive, and that incentive focuses on diversity within the company, with its workforce as well as at its management level. As you can see, your workforce would be your full-time employees, your management would be your owners, your partners, and any other individuals who have a fiduciary duty to the business. This also would apply to all city-funded contracts that are valued at $100,000 or more. The prime contractor can actually get both incentives, the incentive for management as well as the incentive for the workforce. And as you can see in the chart, and I won't read over all of them, for a certain percentage usage of management, you get a certain percent off your contract-based bid. And here, diversity refers to racial and ethnic groups. Those are African Americans or blacks, for example, Hispanics, Asian Americans, other groups or other individuals that the board can determine to be socio-economically disadvantaged. We have our equal employment opportunity, and this encourages bidders to commit to utilizing minority and female journey workers, apprentices, and laborers. This is specific to construction contracts and is valued at $100,000 or more. What is included in those construction contracts is what we call a canvassing formula, where bidders are able to propose minority and female utilization commitments for the project, up to 15% for female workers and 70% for minority workers. And again, these values have been increased. They used to be 10% and 50%. You can utilize more, but we put a cap on it just for purposes of calculating the award criteria figure. And that figure would help us to determine who is the lowest bidder on the contract. Contractors can receive 150% credit toward their commitment for each labor hour worked by employees from socioeconomically disadvantaged areas. And the way this particular ordinance or program breaks it down is that the city's goal is to have at least 25% of work hours performed by minority journey workers and apprentices, and at least 7% by women journey workers and apprentices. The city's goal is to have at least 40% of the work hours performed by minority laborers and at least 10% by women laborers. And the contractor is obligated to meet the commitments that they make on the contract in each category. If they don't meet those commitments, then they will be subject to liquidated damages for non-compliance. Also, with this incentive, you have to supply weekly certified payrolls to demonstrate your compliance. We have our apprentice utilization bid incentive, where contractors can earn an incentive of up to 1% that can be used on a future bid. What you'll notice about some of our programs is that the incentive sometimes can be applied at the time of bid, what we're talking about, to lower the dollar amount of the contract in terms of determining whether or not you're the lower bidder, and not the amount that you will be paid. In this particular case, this percentage incentive is going to be applied to a future contract, not the contract you're currently bidding on. And it applies to all city-funded contracts with an estimated value of $100,000 or more. By ordinance, an apprentice has to be sponsored into an apprenticeship training program that's authorized by a union to sponsor the apprentice, and either they have to be enrolled in or graduated from a construction technology training program administered by the city colleges, or they have to have graduated from a high school operated by the Chicago Public School System. The way the percentages work is that total labor hours performed by an apprentice, if it's within 5 and 10%, you can earn a future credit of 0.5% to be applied to your bid. If it's between 11 and 15%, you can earn up to 1% to be applied to your future bid. The contractor may apply the earned credit as a bid incentive for any future construction project contract bid that is of equal or greater dollar value. The earned credit certificate will be valid for a period of 3 years from the date of issuance, and it shall not be applied towards any future contract bid after the expiration of that 3-year period. The way it works is the contractor can apply the earned credit certificate on multiple future construction contracts bid on during that 3-year period in which your certificate is valid, but you may only receive one bid incentive for bid evaluation purposes on one construction project contract awarded. If you apply the earned credit certificate on multiple construction contracts and is the lowest and responsible bidder on more than one of those construction contracts, then the earned certificate shall be applied to the construction project that was first advertised by procurement, or multiple construction projects were advertised at the same time or same date specifically. The earned credit certificate shall be applied only to the construction project with the greatest dollar value. Our next slide works the same way as our apprentice utilization slide, except this is specific to an ex-offender or a returning citizen. You can earn up to 1% that can be used on a future bid. It applies to all city-funded construction contracts with an estimated value of $100,000 or more. You have to be a returning citizen or an ex-offender. Sponsored into an apprenticeship training program that is authorized by a union to sponsor apprentice, and participating in a workforce development program. And this workforce development program, what happens is the Department of Family Support and Services works with delegate agencies to actually recruit, screen, and refer these potential qualified candidates. And all candidates go through an initial intake process where their eligibility for the program will be determined. However, it is in the Chief Procurement Officer's authority to limit or preclude the use of certain apprentices for a particular contract if she determines that has to be the case. And again, the earned credits are applied the same way that we apply our apprentice utilization credits. All of this information, including our regulations, our policies surrounding our regulations, can be found on the Department of Procurement Services website at the link listed here. So if you have any questions, you can find it there. I've also brought my business cards. You can feel free to contact me at a later date, give me a call or send me an email, and I will be here to answer questions following the presentation of our partners.
Thank you, Brittany, and we will continue with
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kathy Johnson. I'm the supervisor of Workforce Services Programs with the Department of Family and Support Services. We are a department of the City of Chicago. We actually offer our workforce services throughout the City of Chicago for City of Chicago residents only. And so I'm going to give you a presentation about our work and who we serve, and then be available to answer questions at the end. Just to give you our mission statement, working with community partners. We connect Chicago residents, families to resources that build stability, support with their well-being, and empower them to thrive. Department of Family and Support Services is made up of 7 program divisions, from birth to old age is what we say. We have our child services, our youth services, domestic violence, workforce, homeless, senior, and community services division. And most of us are all housed at 1615 West Chicago East. And we have our 6 community centers throughout the city that offer services directly from there. And then we have 4 workforce hubs that particularly serve our reentry citizens, our returning citizens. Our department actually invests over $300 million, serving over 300,000 people throughout the city of Chicago annually. And if you think about it right now, we probably have over 300 contracts in the process of being executed. And then we're writing our RFPs for 2021, which has increased as well because we've taken on some more responsibilities to serve our people better throughout the city of Chicago. So this slide actually breaks down all those different services that are offered. And next we'll focus on just particularly the workforce services. Workforce Services works with our delegate agencies who are contracted through us. We have 57 delegate agencies that we offer contracts to. Of those 57 delegate agencies, there's 88 contracts. We offer the workforce services through 4 program models. They include our EPP, Employment Preparation and Placement, Transitional Jobs, Industry Specific, and a Reentry Center. So our community reentry centers right now are like what we call call centers, but those centers also have accessibility for people to walk in and actually get one-on-one services if they wanted to, particularly focusing on returning citizens. All right. Do we have the capacity? We do. I took this position in September of this last year, and where I come from, there's only a few contracted agencies coming here, 57 agencies, and our budget is high, and we work with 4 different funding streams. And so, looking at our data and all that our agencies were doing, we know we can build upon our capacity. And if you are looking for that talent pipeline, we have good delegate agencies that are working with these folks hand in hand, one-on-one, or as groups, as cohorts, providing those workforce services to prepare our folks for employment within our in-demand industries. Our workforce services division is particularly focused on those in-demand industries that the mayor has outlined for us, and they include our health and life sciences, manufacturing, transportation, distribution and logistics, and we've added construction because we know that's big here in Chicago, and then we also have IT. So those are just a few of the ones, and we are actually making sure that we work with our agencies to identify those in-demand industries, and just in 2019, over 80% of our participants were employed through our delegate agencies within the in-demand industries. That included healthcare, construction, and wherever we placed them. We served over 3,000 people last year through our 57 delegate agencies, and of that number, over 1,000, and this number, I'm sorry, I sent you the wrong number. Of this 3,000, over 1,700 actually gained employment. I left out one of our agencies. So over 1,700 gained employment, which is huge for us. And, that's one thing that we're pushing, is to make sure that we are employing the hard to serve. Our particular focus is the returning citizen, homeless, people at risk of homelessness, and people limited in English proficiency. Those are our priority populations. We do serve veterans and folks with disabilities as well. These are our 4 workforce hubs that offer the services for our returning citizens. And Westside Justice Center is the one that should be up there. I thought I put the correct slide. It's not Westside Health Authority. Westside Justice Center is one of the hubs, and they are the ones that actually offer a lot of the legal services for our returning citizens. And then the other ones, Howard Area Community Assistance and Teamwork in Inglewood. Howard Area and Community Assistance each have 2 other programs that they offer as a part of our programming.
I think there was 2 slides.
Yeah, I see it now. Yep. Right, so I'll be available for questions if you have any at the end.
Yeah.
This is ready to go, right?
Yep. You ready to go?
Hi, everyone. My name is Dave Swanson. I am from the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, which is, it's another part of the workforce system. We're a federally funded agency, but we are serving the area of Cook County, and we were formerly 4 different workforce areas, and we've all merged together, so we're pretty much serving Cook County, including the city of Chicago. All right. So we primarily work with the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. That's WIOA. You may have heard of WIA or WIOA in the past. This is a network of American job centers and other agencies, and we are the ones channeling the federal funding to these agencies and managing a variety of services and programs, pretty much for individuals who are looking to advance their careers. You can see our mission and our vision up here. It's a very inclusive mission. We are basically a system, the workforce system overall nationally is a system that catches people who are kind of slipping through the cracks on their way to family-sustaining employment with career advancement opportunities. We are working with individuals who've been laid off, are coming through the unemployment office, and we're working with individuals who qualify under income guidelines or other, we have priority populations as well, basic skills, efficiency, all the same ones that you mentioned. So very similar sounding system. We do work hand in hand, but in certain ways we overlap, in certain ways we do different things. So we are also serving high growth, high demand industries. We have 7 up here right now: business professional services, healthcare, retail and hospitality, IT, manufacturing, TDL, and we've recently added construction as well. So we are trying to coordinate our activities with what the city is doing. That's by design. So here's I'm going to just flip through here and show you our whole system. This is just a graphic that's kind of showing you all of our priorities and how they mesh together. We have an individual-facing side of the workforce system in Cook County, where we're taking people in and giving them career coaching, individual one-on-one help with their resume, mock interviews, developing individual employment plans. Those are the kind of things that our career coaches do after they determine someone's eligibility. So we are working with job seekers primarily in all of our agencies, and we have kind of our large flagship agencies. There's 10 across Cook County. They're called the American Job Centers. We fund another, I think last time I checked, it was 43 community agencies that also work with employment for individuals seeking a job, but they're serving particular populations and have particular missions. I am actually on the business services team, which is the business-facing side of the workforce system. My colleague Marion, myself, and 4 others on my team all have sector assignments. We focus on certain industries, and we are actually the ones going out to businesses and trying to bring those businesses into the workforce system. So that's kind of what we're doing here today. We want to let you know that we exist. We want to connect you with all of the workforce needs that you might have as employers, or if you're looking to contract with the city, then we can definitely help you. Really anything that involves employment or training, whether you're drawing people from our system or whether you want to train people that you already have on staff, that's the kind of thing that the business services team can help you with. So we are trying to knit a lot of different elements together. We are incorporated as a nonprofit, actually. So we're we're a governmental nonprofit, so we could say we are with the government, but we are also accepting private dollars that help us implement a lot of other community programs. So we do a lot of special employment-focused programs for youth, for certain industries, for people in certain situations. We have too many programs for me to list right now, but they all do focus on bringing people from the situation they're in into the workforce. That's kind of the end goal. So we have our priorities right now. We're trying to make different parts of the system work together better than they currently do. And we are offering a whole range of services to our participants in our system. So anyone who comes into one of our job centers is going to have a basic level of access to, job search functions, workshops, resume writing. That's something that really anyone can get if they come into one of our workforce centers. So just speaking of what we do for individuals. People who do qualify for WIOA, for WIOA, can access training grants, and that turns into a voucher that they can, after discussions with their career coach, they can take that voucher and get some education. Whether it's at community college, like city colleges, trade skill programs, different kinds of vocational programs that help them get into the workforce. If they're receiving unemployment, they can do those two things at the same time. So it's really all meant to work together. And then as far as the business services, that's what Marion and myself are working with. We are going out and offering companies ways to solve their skilled labor problems. Whether it's we can't find enough people, we can't find the right kind of people, we have people but we're not able to train them right now. Those are all the kinds of problems that we can help businesses solve. And we do have public resources at our disposal for that. An additional function of our team is we go out when a company has to notify the state of Illinois when it's going to do a downsize or close a plant. And they send out a team of different agencies, IDES, Unemployment Office, Department of Labor, our agency, and the state itself come out, and we talk to the workers and let them know how to connect to our system. Otherwise they're not going to know about it. Most people don't know that the workforce system exists. It is a national system. It's been around in some form since the 1940s, I think. It just keeps getting its name changed. But we are here, and people do find out about it. Unfortunately, usually if they get laid off from a job, or hopefully they find out about it in a better way by meeting coming to one of our community agencies. Anyway, among the many programs that we offer, one of our most popular and successful ones is coming up soon, and I'm going to let Marion tell you guys about that.
Okay, do I have it? Is it on? Hello? My mouth is usually bigger. Hi, everybody. I'm Marion Beatty. I'm with Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. Looking around the room, I know some of these people already. Good to see you. Happy New Year. I'm very proud to be a part of this. As we say over at the partnership, workforce is not our job, it's our passion. And what we do is we empower our communities by putting people together with skilled workforce and businesses. So I'm proud to be a part of this as far as Hospitality Hires Chicago. It's our 6th one. It is coming up Monday, April 20th. It will be hosted at the Palmer House. I want you to know when I say hospitality, I'm not only looking at hospitality as a hotel or a property, but anybody in workforce will understand hospitality is a skill set. And that skill set of hospitality means that person that can be at the front end of your business and greet a person with a smile or have those customer service skills. And I don't know any industry that does not need a hospitality person in their office, on their front line, or just answering the phone. Excuse me, like you got some sense, So Hospitality Hire Chicago has definitely grown since our first one. This is our 6th one. To date, we have placed over 890 people with conditional offers.
You still good.
And if it wasn't the conditional offers, I am, Martha, but like mine. If it wasn't the conditional offers, we have let over 260 employers come through our doors. Conditional offers mean they interview on the spot, and that person usually makes them an offer until they can find out their background or take them to a second interview place to one-on-one them. So we are very proud to have our sponsors, which is the American Hospitality Lodging Association, Chicago, Choose Chicago, Chicago Loop Alliance, Magnificent Mile, Illinois Restaurant Association, Illinois Hotel and Lodging. We also have the Near South Planning Commission and the Magnificent Mile Association. Why you say these sponsors? Because these sponsors are usually members, associates. So what these sponsors do is they go into their membership and they invite their members, who are usually businesses, to our Hospitality Hires event. This Hospitality Hires event is good for employers or employees. Employers give us 3 open job descriptions that they are hiring for. Employees, we must pre-screen you because you move further. And that's one of the advantages of the employer. Before, it's not a job fair. Before you sit down in front of an employee, you will have been pre-screened to that open job description. You are aware of what that employer is looking for, and that right there makes that cohesion a lot better. I tell people, as far as employees are concerned, time is money and money is time. And anytime we can go to an employee and give them something like we pre-screen to your definition of your job description, they are very much on board. There is a buy-in fee of $250 for this event, and that's because it is at the Palmer House. And we do serve a continental breakfast, and we do serve lunch. We love being in hospitality because it lets us be nice, friendly, and hospitable, okay? And where better to do that than at the Palmer House? If you need anything, they have the unique number of sometimes you can get through our number, but my private number is 312-603-0270, 312-603-0270. I do have flyers that we can give either to the employer or to the job seeker. If you give me a call, I'd be more than happy to give you our registration link. For those of you that are like minds in workforce, I do have a tracking system and an agency workforce kit that if you would like to become involved with us and send your clients over, we'll track your clients, because that's what workforce needs. You need to know, did Hazel come to the event? You need to know the condition of Hazel's outcome at that event, and you need to know if Hazel got hired or either when her second interview is. So we are not here as a silo. We work with other workforce agencies that we may not fund because we understand we are all in this together. And I said, workforce is not my job, it's my passion. If you need anything, give me a call.
Before you step down, the $250 is for?
The $250 is for that breakfast and lunch. The $250 is for your table, your
For the vendor that is.
the vendor.
I just
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to make that.
Yeah, the
because we might
clearness
have some
is the
people on.
$250 is for the vendor that is coming. We are a free. Let's get workforce straight. For those that you all don't know, workforce is free. We're not a staffing agency. I do not get credited by how many hires I get. Federally funds is credited by our retention. So when you come to a workforce agency, I don't care who it is, I want you to know the difference between a staffing agency and a workforce agency. Let that be clear to any employer, because we do 30, 60-day, 90 retention. So we don't run through the office and ring a bell just because someone was hired, okay? We run through the office and ring a bell after 90 days of that person being hired, because we found out statistically after 90 days, you had got a team member. We understand from a business's point of view, it's just as hard for you to walk through that transient door and find a good team member as it is for us to give you a good team member. So please, 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 say this, when you hear the word workforce, do not compare it to staffing agency. I don't spend my time staffing or ringing a bell or getting a commission. I spend my time with career path industry laden that come from the mayor and that come from Cook County Board President that takes you a little bit further of creating a career path where you can afford yourself with your families and change the trajectory of your household. So that's what workforce is all about. Any other questions? Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right, so, I guess, that's all that needed to be. No more questions, we're ready to go. Can I get hired? So I'm gonna, extend the questions out to you for any of our panelists, if you had a burning question. I'd ask that you take the mic off and then whomever the question is directed to, they can go ahead and answer. Just make sure you wait.
Hi. I have questions more about incentives and tax assistance for employers and utilizing, especially within the county workforce. But if anybody else can chime in on what they have available.
So he needs that mic. I know I'm putting you on all the words, but I'm sorry.
Just talking to it like this, right? I gotta,
It's on, right? You didn't turn it off, right? Okay, so it's on. You're not gonna hear yourself. This is for the people online.
Oh.
I got you. Okay. As far as the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, we mostly deal with helping employers pay for training their employees and getting skilled labor in the door. But I do know of a couple of tax incentives, particularly around apprenticeship. So if you are looking at registering an apprenticeship program where you're educating employees at the same time that they're on the job, there's been a recently passed bill at the, with the state government that gives a $3,500 tax break per apprentice. And I think it can go up to $5,000 per year per apprentice, depending what area of the city the employer is in. That's the only one that I.
I'll keep it up to you,
Oh, okay.
because you speak a little light.
Okay. That's the only one that I can connect you with, but I think they're going to have some more.
Not only that, when you talk about incentives, one of our leading incentives for businesses is OJT. It's called the on-the-job training incentive, where you take that employee that is a full-time employee on a career pathway, and we have a formula in which we will help assist with that training and pay back to the employer. Also, David's head up, he's being modest. We spent over almost $500,000 on a program called also encumbered worker training, which if that employer, instead of downsizing or laying off, if the employer needs to train their skilled labor up to have another certificate or something else, again, we will help with that, and it's called encumbered worker training. Just a little knowledge, CVS, which you all know, had a pharmacy program before they laid their pharmacists off because they needed another certification. Everything goes forward. They came to us, we partnered, we were able to keep something like 100 to 200 pharmacists still in the work pool because we trained them, or they trained them, and we helped with that initiative to go to school. We can also for you to better know that workforce is a one-on-one individual thing when it comes to that employer. We're not generic. So if you tell us your needs and we see your needs, we are resourceful enough to go and get them. We do have the tax incentives called WATC that we can, again, go forth and turn an employer on to that. I feel like this, having been an employer also, there's nothing like listening to a lot of generic stuff that has nothing to do with my business, okay? So that's what we as Workforce Business Service Team is all about. Let's take you and let's see your business and graduate you step by step so you can stop becoming a small business to a medium-sized business, and hopefully to a large business. So therefore, you have certain needs that makes your brand and makes you different, and we want to engage that.
What is WOTC?
WOTC is a tax preparedness for that business that will be able to assist you. I don't know all the ins and outs because it really doesn't come through us. It's a resource by us. But if you look it up or if you need more information, I'll be more than happy to resource it for you. And because also, I don't like to give information that's not current because you know taxes change every year. So if I told you something I knew when I first got here 4 years ago concerning WOTC, even though it wouldn't be prevalent now, okay? But we can research it together. I can get you up in it.
Hi there, my name is Beatrice Steele with Lawn Care Maven LLC. We're eco-friendly lawn care service. So I need to know, David mentioned something about training, and you probably answered it already, but so the training that you all do, is it in-house or do the employees enroll in an existing training program?
Right. We're not a trainer at all. We're just a funder. So the employer gets to decide what training is best for them. They can bring in a contractor to teach folks right on the job site, or they can send them out to, it could be a community college or some kind of trade school. Any of those arrangements would work. So you can get a third party to come in and train them, but it's not going to be us. You know, we're just a funder.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Did anybody else have any incentives?
Yeah. Yes.
So just to preface it, we are a workforce agency, the North Mondale Employment Network, so we are a part of the county workforce. We are also a delegate for DFSS. So my role is to engage with the employer. And Dr. House is over our Financial Opportunity and Resource Center. So we want to make sure we have the suite of tools available as we're engaging employers. So we literally, before this meeting, had a conversation with someone who wants to do a call center and 15 positions. And so we have our internal training program around job readiness, but we want to ensure that aside from that, we are packaging the incentives and selling the employer, especially as we're having conversations about a disadvantaged workforce that has additional needs. So we just want to make sure we are up to date on what our toolkit and repertoire should be.
I would just like to say that these particular incentives or ordinances that were mentioned by the city focuses on diversity in contracting. However, the city has several other incentive programs, and that same information can be found on that link. So like city-based manufacturers, there's other incentives that we have out there. And again, on our website, we have the ordinance sections, the requirements for the incentives, the policies in place for those incentives, but they specifically focus around whether or not these entities want to do business with the city of Chicago, or if you want to make people aware of opportunities because they have subcontractors, they have requirements to, again, like employ city residents. So things like that is important even to the individual and not just the entity itself. And that's where all our incentives and programs are found on the procurement website.
One more question for you. Because I know you talked about more so, you talked about the city contracts, but does it trickle down to, for instance, the neighborhood opportunity fund? So where the city is granting a business entity to do construction and they then identify a contractor. So they're still city funds, it's just not being directly, well, in the case of NOS, it is being directly cut to the contractor. So do those contractors who are getting those bids from these small businesses have to adhere to these requirements?
It's a city contract. Are you referring specifically to a city contract?
The Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, which is a city grant.
That's through a different department.
Right.
That's through a different department.
So it doesn't.
No, and we actually, hopefully will have them presenting here, there, but that's through a different department.
Thank you.
Hello, panel. Hi, my name is Gail Austin. I'm the CEO and president for Opportunity Chicago. We are a 501c3 public charity organization. We specialize in manufacturing staffing as well as job skills readiness. I came today because I'd like to know a little bit more about the WIA grant. I'd like to know about opportunities for job skills readiness. So I'm talking training for those who may enter the manufacturing
Go ahead.
world, particularly some training like OSHA training, lockout, tag out, forklift training, things of that such. And so the people that we go after are the same people that you guys are going after, but we need grant funding for the job skills readiness piece. We do, Marion, charge for staffing. And we look at everyone in the workforce who could be unemployed or, re-entering the workforce and or re-entry. So once again, I'm trying to learn a little bit more about the WIA grant and any other grants that can be available to us to provide the training, the skills training for them.
I definitely think we can work together. We have folks, we have agencies set up around the city that are doing intake, and they could well be doing intake on some of your folks, just to determine if they're eligible for the services. If they are eligible for our services, they can get their training paid for as long as it applies to the job they're going into. So if you're helping them find a job, but they need a certain skill, like they need forklift driving, maybe they need the OSHA, as long as it applies to the job and it's kind of a short-term, medium-term training, we can fund that training. We can give them a voucher that they can take the training, whether it's they get the job first and they do the training, on their off hours, or they do the training for a few months before they get the job. That depends on the individual, right? But that's the kind of situation that you can use us for. So I definitely want to make connections with you. And what will happen is, if you connect with us, you're going to get a point person assigned who's like a business service representative, and they have a career coach working with them. I don't know which one it'll be because it depends on where you're at and what kind of jobs you're working with. But then that person will just be your go-to, and you can always just, if you have some kind of issue, you can raise it, to our level, and we can make sure that the system is working for you. Because we definitely want to serve the folks that you are serving.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
And so the voucher that is given, is it a one-time voucher, meaning it pays for one class?
The voucher is typically described as a once-in-a-lifetime thing, because it's helping people through the current situation that they're in, whether that's a layoff or just a lack of work, or it's something severe like that. And they're going to go take that job skills training and go get a job with it. So it's not really a college degree that we're talking about. It's something that applies directly to the job. After they have the job, we make sure they keep the job. We give them follow-up services for a year. And then only at that point do we say, yes, this has been a successful training. It led to a job. We can pat ourselves on the back now. It's been a year. And that's it. They shouldn't need to do that again for a while.
And so that's when Miss Marion's department clicks in, when she's doing the tracking and things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to just also say, what David is talking about is that if you have that employer and they choose you to be a trainer, that you would be able to negotiate and come in through the employer's point of view. But now to become a trainer, and as one young lady said, workforce, we're the best kept secret. Don't let it fool you. You need to go on the website, shycookworks.org. Look and see what it takes to become an IT trainer for workforce. You have to jump through certain hoops, and you're going to have certain certifications like a brick and mortar, and you're going to have been in business for a certain amount of time for you to become a trainer. It sounds easy. It looks easy if you're on that end of it, but don't let this money fool you, okay? You are going to have to do your due diligence and show all kind of certification. Once you become an IT trainer, then it's okay. They will refer you, you can refer us, the vouchers will be coming in, but it usually takes a company, a good company, to hold that type of certification of a trainer. It usually takes them maybe 1 to 2 or 3 years to really get that cert. So when you look up on that website, you're not gonna be able to do this overnight. So when we talk to people, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a trainer, I'm gonna be a trainer. No, baby, you're not gonna be a trainer.
So when you say IT, what's that acronym stand for?
What is that?
Information technology.
Information
Oh, okay.
technology,
Alright.
yeah.
Yeah, so please, a lot of things are on the websites and on, the websites, but we don't take the time to go after it, don't even know what's up there to read, and it's very descriptive. So it's called shycookworks.org, that is our website, and it will definitely give you information, give you knowledge, but most of all, it'll give you resources of what it takes and what it needs for you to become one of those type of trainers. Okay?
I have one more question. How do you become eligible?
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your steps.
Yes. One more question. How do you become eligible for the WIA grant?
We away.
Is that you?
That's us.
Do you mean eligible training provider or eligible individual to get a voucher?
I'm kind of really unsure about
an
how it all
agency.
works, but yeah.
Okay. So, there are community agencies that are WIOA agencies. That's probably what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking
Right, all right, so what you need to do is go to that shycookworks.org website. There's gonna be it'll be easy to find, it'll be a section called Request for Proposals, RFPs. You go to that, and there's a little link where you can sign up to be notified when an RFP comes out. So we grant out the agency status, and we do it every so often. There's no really strict period. It's not like we do it every year. We do it more like every few years. But if you want to be a WIOA agency that can take people in, provide them those services, get them those vouchers, place them in jobs, and do all that service and tracking, if that's what you're looking for, then you need to write that as a grant proposal. You're gonna respond to one of those RFPs. We have 4 different types of agencies that we fund, just like you all. We have American Job Centers, that's a huge comprehensive workforce service center. We have delegate agencies, that's more of a specialized center that takes in people and they might have a specific mission to serve a specific group of people. There's youth agencies, and they serve young people age 16 to 24. And then there's sector centers. Sector centers actually serve the business community in a certain sector. So those RFPs, you will be notified, but you have to sign up to be notified. Was that your question, or are you looking at?
Yeah, pretty
All
good.
right,
Thank
okay,
you.
because there's also training providers, and that's a different thing.
I think she needs to add to the company.
I would strongly encourage you to go to the Department of Labor website and to read up about the WIOA. And that way, do your research. It's an actual workforce law that went into effect in 2014. This is the first law that Republicans and Democrats agreed upon through President Obama. And so 2014 is when it became law, and this is something that has improved the workforce in the United States because it is a particular focus on our high-need population, dislocated immigrants, whatever it takes to make sure they're getting not only the employment but the education they needed to go through a career pathway to become self-sustainable individuals throughout the United States. So WIOA is throughout the United States. You've got a lot of folks working on this. So these American Job Centers are the brick and mortar that bring people in. It's a one-stop shop to get everything you need with business reps who connect with employers. So do your due diligence with reading Department of Labor, read about the law, and do your research because it's not easy. It really isn't. And to become a training provider, she's right. It's not easy. We had a lot, I'm from Arizona, we had a lot of people that, oh, I've been doing this for years. And then they go through this law and they're like, I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. We had a lot of folks to drop out because it has a lot of reporting requirements and colleges and universities, there's a lot of requirements because it's not just taking the WeAway participants who are paid for, it's actually looking at all of the university outcomes, not just who's getting the WeAway grant funding. So that's what you need to be aware of as well. But it's a good law. I love the structure of it.
And however, anything that is going to be that beneficial to you,
Yep.
it's gonna take some work.
Yes. Yes.
So nothing comes easy,
No, but it's a
for
great law.
anybody who out there thinks that it does.
Yeah, Jackie, thank you so much for that information.
No,
So-
that's not Jack.
This is Kathy.
Kathy. I apologize. So when you
I
look
wanna take your
at
credit.
us.gov and you look at the grants out there, they're not specific to Chicago and they're not specific to Chicago workforce partners. They offer opportunities and eligibility to individuals who have a 501c3, who are maybe a faith-based organization, things like that. So how large is Chicago Workforce Partners? I mean, and you know what I'm saying? So there's got to be additional opportunity for people who may not be in that space, if you will. So that's what I'm trying to go online and pursue some grants that are offered to companies outside of the Chicagoland area.
I can help out with that. So yeah, that's, you're on the right track, for sure. We manage federal dollars, so, and we grant it out ourselves at a county level. So when you go through us, you are getting federal dollars ultimately, but you wouldn't find those on grants.gov because those grants are going directly from the federal government. We're managing funds for this area. So they're just two different options that you have. But what you really want to do if you're going to apply for one of these grants is first get used to interacting with the system. So, like I said, if you want to work with the workforce system and apply for grants through us, you probably want to work with us first, somewhat, for a year or something. Just kind of be sending some of your job seekers to us to get training and then see what happens to them. And pretty quick, you'll get an idea of what it is we do to the point where you could then feel more confident of writing a grant application. And plus, we don't have one out for the agencies at this moment anyway. So, it's best if you work with the system a bit first and then just keep your eye on those proposals and you can always communicate with us.
I hear you. I hear you. And being a business person, I own it. I kind of agree, but I don't agree because Chicago is a hard nut to crack. And Cook County and workforce in Cook County is a hard nut to crack. There are WIBs all adjoining that follow the same procedures. And just because you're in Chicago does not mean you can't go after a grant someplace else. And you might, and I kind of heard that was what you're saying, it is a federal and a state funding that does all over Illinois. And you can go to Kane County, Lake County, wherever, and get your little feet wet first, okay? And then come knock Chicago down. Because Chicago is a hard nut to crack. These people are vicious. They have, and they go after this money. And I know a lot of our workforce agencies do have agencies in adjoining suburb counties, okay? So now you're going to have to learn how to negotiate and navigate Springfield, the state law, all of this. Would it be best that you start with Chicago? I don't know. You're aware for all or how many gray hairs you want, okay? But now, if I were you, I would kind of look around, especially since manufacturing is going on every place. Go into that federal website, see what's out there, and see what they need. Every need is different for every WIB, okay? Where we might say 500 people, you got to cross the dotted line. Will County may say 4 people. Once you start getting in the system, like anything else, breaking the ice, it's more easier for you to come in because you have those references behind you. So David's right at one point, I'm right at another point. How do you want to work it to get inside this network?
All right. Any other additional questions? Okay, with this,
Very quick question relative to the.
hold on 1 second. Let me dismiss the people online. This will conclude this workshop for today, and we're gonna take some questions offline at this time, but we thank you all for participating in today's workshop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now you can
Just a
ask
quick
your
question about the RFP. So once that request for proposal is complete and once the award is provided, is there an expiration? Is it like a 2-year maximum that you become a
The grant-
WIOA recipient?
The grants typically